Yeah, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah.
Mr. Ifeanyi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we are with you.
Okay, I thought Mercy cannot hear us. Mercy, can you hear me?
Hello, sir. I can hear you now.
All right, all right. All right, so good morning once again. So from where we stopped last time, I think the last class was just an introduction to infographics generally, where I told us some secrets of infographics designing. We also started looking at the application involved, which is the Adobe Photoshop. And the only aspect that we covered in that class was, I think it was how to launch the application and then how to be familiar with the environment of it, which I know that I have already settled with us. So I would like to ask if we have any question from that class before I proceed to the next topic. Do we have any question?
So far so good. I think there's no question anyway. You can
All right.
proceed. For
All
my
right.
own end, though, I'm not talking for the general house.
Okay.
So
Mercy, please, let's also hear from you. Do you have any question arising from the last class?
No, sir.
Okay.
I don't have, but I'm sorry, I've not really gone through. I didn't know you shared it already, so I was waiting for the class. So I'll go through today.
Okay, so please let's cultivate the habit of noting down stuff while the class is going on. It's very important because at times the video might be delayed. So we need to make sure that we write down some key points as the class is going on. That is how we are supposed to receive lectures, not just waiting to watch the video. Otherwise, the video doesn't come. All right, so last time I told us that Photoshop is actually divided into two branches. The first branch is where you learn Photoshop to manipulate photos. And as digital marketers, at some point, clients will give us pictures that do not look like it. Pictures you are to incorporate in a design that you are doing for them, or you are giving it out to someone else to put the content together. So in that case, we should know how to, to retouch the picture. We should know how to work on the picture. We should know how to improve the picture, either by setting its brightness or contrast or intensity. All of these are things we should be able to know how to do as digital marketer. Don't forget that the whole essence of learning this is for us to be able to create infographics content, for us to be able to create infographics contents. So we are not learning this like the general people out there that will learn Photoshop for a graphics design. We are learning it with a purpose. So whatever we are doing here, we need to bear in mind that we are trying to, put out a content that can actually draw the attention of the audience to buying whatever products we are advertising. So that has to be our primary assignments, not just creating shape. Like I told us the other time, that infographics is about you illustrating with shapes, pictures, colors, lines, and layouts. Right? So everything speaks as far this training is concerned. Everything speaks. So this session, I want to just focus on how to manipulate photos. How to manipulate photo, because we did establish that Photoshop is used for photo editing and also graphic design. So we are going to start by understanding the aspect of the photo manipulation to an extent. Then we will now come and say, okay, now let's start designing. So by the time you are designing, if there is a point where you need to work on a particular picture that you want to use in your design, you can easily what? Correct that picture before you proceed with your design. So that is the idea. That is the idea. So how do we go about that? We are going to start by learning how to load in our photo. Remember that in the last class, I explained to us the interface of Photoshop. So at this point, I will assume that we are already familiar with it. Right? So once you open your application, all these things you are seeing right now, they are my previous design, like I told us. They are my previous design. So your own, you may not have access to them, but after this class and you attempt to practice, you will now be able to see the next time you open the application, you will now be able to see things like this that you have designed before. But if, like what we want to start with this session is, how do we even bring the picture we want to manipulate? The picture we feel that it is not good enough to be published, we want to correct it. So which means that you have to have that picture within your system. If you have it in your phone, then you have to connect your USB and transfer it to your laptop. So you create a folder and assemble all the pictures in there. Or if you have to download them from a particular website, you go there and download them. So that is the first task. So in this case, I have some pictures already in my system. So I will just call out one of the picture. So how do we call in the picture? Once you have launched your application like this, Photoshop, and then you go to File, I hope you should be taking note of your steps. Not in detail, you can just be mapping out the step just so that you can be able to follow the speed. So how do I load in picture to my editor so that I can correct the errors on that picture before using it for my design? That is our objective right now. So you go to File tab, and then from File tab, you click on Open. So from Open, that is going to open a dialog box showing me different storages within my system. So you know where you must have kept that picture. So let's assume in this case, my picture is on desktop. So I'll click on desktop, and then you navigate to the folder where you have the picture. So let's assume I have the picture in this folder. So let me see if I can see other places where I have stored my picture. So let me just pick from here. I have a lot of pictures here. So I will now look for which one of them do I want to edit. Sorry. So let's assume that I want to edit this particular picture. And then I'll click on what? Open. Or what about in a situation where you want to load in 2 or more pictures at the same time? If I want to load in 2 or more pictures at the same time, so that I can be switching from them simultaneously within my editor. So after selecting, for example, you are going to remove the background on this picture and probably replace it with another, maybe with another shape, another background here. So in that case, if you want to load more than one picture at the same time, you have to what? Click on what? The first one, and then you now hold down the control button and then select the other ones. So that is how you keep selecting them. So when you are done selecting the number of picture you want to load in at the same time, you click open. By the time you click open, you will notice that all the pictures has been what? Loaded here. So you cannot navigate from them one after the other. You cannot navigate. Let me close some of the previous designs so that we will just focus on the ones we loaded in. So you can see this is one, this is the other, and this is another. So now the next thing is, let's assume that the background is not even here. So I want to quickly sort that out. So you can go to a browser. So I will just start opening the browser. I'll come back to it later, because there are times that you have to go to internet to download a beautiful background that matches your design. It's very important. Beautiful background that matches your design, because it's about communication. You are talking about a product, and you have to make sure that the picture you are using, the background, matches with that content. So it's not every time you limit yourself to the pictures in the system. You have to go to the internet and get pictures that align with the message you are trying to pass. So let me just quickly download one, because it's part of what we need to know, how we can exploit the internet resources to blend our design. So let's assume that I want to get some picture from, I want to get some studio picture. Maybe use a very low quality camera, and you want to give an impression that the person went to studio. So you can actually come here and say studio background, studio what? Background. Studio what? Background. So once you type it, you see what? Different what? Studio background. And then you go to the image section. You go to the image section. So from the image section, you should be able to see the elaborate version of it. So let's assume that I want to bring that picture here. So when you post a picture like this, somebody will be thinking that you went to studio to snap it. It might align. So just to show you that you can actually exploit a lot of resources on the internet as a graphics or infographics designer. So most of the design you see out there that wows you, they are designed that somebody knows where to get graphics elements based on the subject of the design. So let's assume that I want to store this in my picture, so that after removing that old background, I will replace this with this. So if I select save as, you right click on that picture, and then you select what? Save as. You right click on it and select save as. So it automatically took us to a folder, but I want it to be in picture. And then I will save it as maybe BG, just take note of the name, BG33. Right? So with this, I have saved a background. So let's say I want to load that background in here. So I will also go to File and then select Open. And then remember where we stored it, that is in picture. So I'll go to that storage, and then I should be able to see it here. If you are not able to see it on time, you can just search it out, but I found it. You click. So you have also what? Loaded it here. So what I'm doing right now, I am trying to assemble the design, what I'm going to use for my design. So I'm going to remove the background from a picture, and I'm going to replace it with this very one. So I just want to get, let me see. Just want to see what I have here. Okay, so let me use this. Let me use this. So now we are going to remove this background and then replace it with that studio picture. So to start with, how do we trace out this background? That is the focus. How do we remove this background. How do we remove this background? So the first thing you are expected to do as a photo editor is to make sure that you are viewing the layer. You can see the layer is currently locked. And if you trim this picture without unlocking this layer, what is going to happen is that it will give it an automatic background color. It might be red, it might be blue. So the first step, remember the topic now. The topic is how to remove background from an image. And why do we want to learn this? So I have a design that I'm doing, and I have already given that design its own background color. So I don't need this picture that I want to use on that design to come with this background. So I have to remove this background from this image because I have a background in my design already. So you can see the reason why I am doing this. So but I'm saying that before you start removing the background, once you have loaded the picture, you double click here to unlock it. You can at the same time give it a name because you might have multiple pictures. So I can say, okay, this one is piece 1. After that, I click OK. So you can see that that padlock has disappeared. So which means that at this point, the picture is what? Unlocked. So once you have achieved this, the next thing you are going to do is for you to zoom in the picture so that you can see the parts, because we are going to trace the part, take out the portion of the entire picture, and then delete the other background. So sometimes if you are not zooming enough, you might be thinking that you are following it. Meanwhile, you are either cutting in the old background that you are trying to remove, or you are eating up the picture. So to avoid that, you zoom in. And how do we zoom in? You should be writing down this shortcut. You press the control button on your keyboard and look for the plus sign. As you continue pressing it, you see that what I am zooming in this picture. While you are still holding down the control button, if you press the minus sign, it will zoom out. The other time I was zooming in. So you need to be familiar with these terms as a graphic designer. Zoom in is to make it what? Bigger, which is done with Control plus. Then zoom out, that is what? You are bringing the image out from the environment, which makes it smaller. So this is what? Zoom out, while this is what? Zoom in. Now, make sure that you do not zoom beyond the maximum what? Resolution of that picture based on the quality of camera that was used. If you are zooming an image that probably the camera that was used is very low, by the time you zoom once or 2 times, the image will have been blurred. So for me to continue zooming, I am still getting the quality. It means that what? The camera resolution is high. So now, why are you zooming? Because you want to start your trimming from a particular place and then come back to that place to enable you what? Extract that part from the entire what? Layout. So at this point, I believe we have mastered how to zoom in and how to zoom out. So the next thing we want to learn right now is which of the two, how to use the pen tool to remove the background from this picture. How to use the pen tool. We have about 3 different tools we can use, but in this session, I want to use one of my favorite tools, which is very more flexible. But we are still going to look at other one probably in the next section. So you write how to trace out or how to remove image background using the pen tool. So this is the pen tool. And when you right click on it, you see other options, but this is the one we want to focus on in this section. So how do we define the pen tool? So the pen tool is one of the powerful tool in Photoshop, which is used to remove, to trace and remove background from an image. Let me take it again. I said a pen tool is one of the powerful tools in Photoshop, which is used to trace and to remove image background. So how do we apply it? Remember your first step, you must load in the image, you must unlock the image, and then you click on pen tool. Once you click on it, this is the symbol of the tool. So now I have to do a calculation. You need to identify the aspect of the object you need. Remember that we don't need the entire background. We only need this picture. So which means that I should do my calculation based on if I start tracing here. If I start tracing here, tracing like this, tracing, I will come back and take this off separately because this finger has locked up this place. So you can't go like this, except you want to cut it off. So you go like this, go like this, go like this, and then go like this, then you should be able to what? But if you start from here, if you either go like this or like this, you'll not be able to get the entire image. So what I'm trying to explain here is that you must do your calculation where you should start. That will be able to what? Enable you to capture the required section. So I can start from here. So I want to start from here, but I will zoom so that I can see that place very well. And anytime you zoom and the image grow beyond the editor, the workspace, then if you want to move it, you hold down the longest button on your keyboard, the longest button, which is spacebar. Once you hold it down, while you are still on that tool, it will switch to hand tool. Then you hold down your left button of the mouse and move. If you are using your laptop, you hold down that spacebar, press down the left button, and then slide. And then what? Slide. All right. So most time you can do this strictly with the mouse, external mouse. So most time graphic design, we don't recommend the mouse pad. You will not be able to enjoy design. Go and get external mouse. It will make your work easier for you. So if you hold it down, once you hold it down, and then it switches to what? To the movement icon. And once you drop, and then it goes back to your editing tool. So that is how to switch in case you over zoom that you want to move to see an aspect of your picture. So now I want to move up. I want to start my trimming from here. So now let me also inform you about this. What makes you a professional photo editor is your ability to remove this background and nobody knows that that background was there after replacing it with the new background. That is what makes you a professional. For example, if I trim like this and you can see that I'm cutting in part of the old background. By the time I'm done trimming, somebody will know that I have tampered with the picture. You are not a professional. You should be able to trace it, remove the background in a way that will be very neat, that none of each part will be attached to the picture. So that when you bring in another one, it will fit. So you have to be mindful of that. So you see me trying to check very well. So I want to start my trimming now. So the advice I always give to students is that it's better you enter the image small than for you to enter the background. For example, now look at the shape here. This place is curved. If I go like this now, I am wrong. So you can see that I have changed the picture what shape, which is not professional. So how do I undo? Control Z, Control Z. That is how you go back in case you make mistake. Now, for me to get this curve section, if you know that based on the percentage you are using to view it, you cannot see it very well. That is when you zoom in very well so that you can follow it accurately. So now I'll click here. I have pressed down the left button. I have not released it. So I'll twist my hand. You can see what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to gauge that curve before I release my hand. Okay, now you can see that I enter the image small. It's better this way. I enter the image small, but I'm still maintaining the shape, the curve. So instead of me entering the background, it's better you enter the image small and still maintain the shape. So now here, I will now click. You can see I'm just twisting my hand so that I can flow with the shape there.
Sorry, sir.
All right, I hope you can still see my screen. Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you just have to keep watching to see the logic, because after this, you are expected to do your own before the next class. Now, you can see that after tracing to a point here, I'm no longer seeing the other part. So this is where you have to press the space bar, the longest button on your keyboard, so that it can switch to the hand, and then you can now hold down the left button on the mouse and move. So once you can no longer see the part of the picture, you switch to the hand tool. So you can see that, like here now, there's a little mistake here. So I press Ctrl Z. And then if you know you cannot take it once, you can be taking it bit by bit like this. You can be taking it bit by bit until you get to that point where you'll be able to capture a long distance. So now make sure that you don't change the person's shape. Make sure that you follow it and still maintain the shape. So just be watching. So remember, the advice I gave you is either you cut in to the picture a little than you cutting into the background. So here is crop. So if I'm perfect enough, I can just get it like this and then take it down. So each time I want to see the image part, I'm holding down the space bar. You can see, instead of you going out like this, you can decide to enter the picture and still maintain the shape. Very important. Very important. So this particular skill that you are learning is not just for graphic design or for infographics. If you are good at this, you can actually work with photographers. After taking a wedding picture, some of them don't know how to use computer. You take it to lab. Per picture like this, if you go to the lab, they can collect like 500 just for removing this background. Just imagine you have a photographer that snapped up to 500 pictures and you have to remove all their background. That is money. So now you can see the way I am going. I'm trying to take it gradually so that you can understand it. Ordinarily, I can do faster than this. So you are trying to make sure that you don't give impression that says this picture has been tampered with. You want to convince audience that this picture has not been tampered with. So Ctrl- to zoom out, hold down the spacebar key to move. So now you can see it. Now you must always come back to where you started from. Take this at once. You must always come back to where you started from. Always take note of that. Right. So now I can take the whole of this. Take the whole of this. Where you feel you make mistake, Ctrl Z, don't forget, and make sure that you get it right. So once you have locked up where you started from, then you can now do Ctrl- to bring back everything for you to see. So with this, I have been able to trace the aspect of the picture that I needed. Now, the next thing is for you to make selection. So making selection means that you want to preview whether you actually trim it accurately. And how do you do that? Within that area of the picture that you trace, not outside. I cannot right click here. Within the area you trace, you right click on it and select make selection. I hope you are still taking note of your step. After tracing it round, you right click within the area you trace and select make selection. And then the moment you click on make selection, Photoshop will ask you to define your feather radius. Your feather radius is what enhances the accuracy, is what balances some of your minor error. For example, if you trim far from the picture and you put like 5, it will what? Cut it in to shift that trace line in a little. So you have to be careful when you input your feather radius. So how do I know whether I'm to use 1 or 2? Right? Now, where you discover that you trim accurately, if you look at this picture, you will notice that I trim exactly the edge. I trace the parts very well. There is no place where I went off, obviously, from the picture. So in this case, I know that I did not trim off from the picture, so I put like 2 there. But when you know that you trim off from the picture and you put like 5, it will adjust it in. But the implication is this: if you did not have that same equal space off from the picture, when it shifts the other place that you made mistake in, it will also shift the other places where you got it in. So to avoid that, that is why we do advise that you trim correctly so that you don't fall in this trap of trying to correct it with your feather radius. So an average number you should always put should be 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So once I click now, watch what happened. You see that Photoshop is now previewing. This is just like you are previewing what you have traced. And then you can zoom out and check whether there is any place where you are cutting off the ear, or you are cutting off the eyes, or you are cutting off an important part that the person wants on that picture. Because, for example, now if you cut off any of the important parts, the person is going to reject it. Even on the design you are going to put this picture, it will be obvious that it's not good, it's not professional. So once you have seen your selection like this, you take time to check whether the whole tracing is perfect. So once you notice that everything is good, the next step is for us to acknowledge the part that should be deleted. So how do you tell Photoshop that, you see, this area that I trace, if I press delete right now on my keyboard, just what will happen? It will remove that aspect, which is a concept. You might be designing something and you want that shape of human being to be there as a shadow and write on it. Is an idea. But right now, that is not what I wanted. What I want is that every other aspect outside that area that I traced should be removed. And then I will have only that picture. Because remember that we have another background that we want to replace this with. So let me bring it back, Ctrl Z. Now, that is just to tell you that if you did not do what I'm about to teach you now and you press delete, you end up removing the object that you are looking for. So how do you now tell Photoshop that, Photoshop, you know what? I want you to select the other aspects outside this area that I traced. And then by the time I press delete, it is that aspect I want you to delete. We call that inversing. Inversing. So how do you inverse? How do you inverse your selection so that it can acknowledge the area you want to delete? So you proceed to select, and then you click on what? Inverse. Look at the shortcut there, Shift plus Control plus I. I hope you are following. Please let me get a response. Is anybody following?
We are with you, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Now, once you click on this inverse, what happened? You can now see that what Photoshop has selected the other aspect. Now, if I press delete, it will now delete that aspect and give me what? The section I trace. Now, you must stop this selection before you do any other thing. How do you stop it? You go to that same select and click on deselect, or you simply press Ctrl plus D. So if I click here now, what happened? I have stopped the selection. Why did I stop the selection? Because I still have this place to trace out. Still have to remove this place. Because that place will expose my secrets. We make them know that, I have worked on this picture. Now, this place have one color. So which means that I will use another tool. I can as well use this tool to trace it inside, like this, and press delete. You will not invert, because that is the part you want to take off. But to make my work faster, since it's the same color, though from here it looks the same color, but here is not the same color. So I'll take here first, I'll take here, because that will actually be faster for me compared to me tracing it all over. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to use what we call magic wand tool. Magic wand tool, which is this. Magic what? Wand tool. So this tool is used where you have a uniform color. So adubing the whole background is one color, black. I wouldn't have gone through that tracing. I will just use this tool and click on anywhere and then to select the whole black section. So the same logic I want to apply here. So I will just click here and touch this place. You can see the way it's highlighted that area that you click, the color that is the same with it. So I will just press delete. I've removed that one. I will now click here and press delete. I will now click here and press what? Delete. So Control D, or you go to select and select what? Deselect. So now I have gotten it. So the next step, I go to my move tool. So I can move the picture as I like now. All right, I can move the picture as I like. I can increase it here. I can rotate it. Once I move a little bit from it, you see that anchor. Then once you rotate it, you can rotate. You can place it the way you want it. Maybe your graphic design, you just want your picture to be here. You want to write 20% promo, register now here. So depending on how you want to. So let me bring it back. So first step has been resolved. Remember our aim. Our aim is what? To replace the background we remove with this. So before I allow us to do a classwork, because your classwork is that you will trace one. You will trace one and get to where I stop before we proceed, because we have to master this stage. It's very important. It's very important. Sometimes graphic designer that do not know this, they will take the picture and go and give it to a photo editor, remove all the background. First, just give them to me like that, because they have where they want to slot them in. So now, since we are done removing the background, now we want to bring in this background to replace it. So the ideal thing is this. The picture you trace is a portrait picture. Next time, you should have considered what? Portrait background, so that you will not overstretch the background, because the background we are kind of bringing is a landscape background on a portrait what picture. Definitely, if the quality of this background is not high, we are going to what? Deform it one way or the other. So let's quickly look at how to replace it. So I will go to that background. The step you are taking now is that how to replace the old background, how to substitute the background. So when you go to the background, you are going to see it also locked here. So you double click on it and click what? Okay. Or I can just give it what? BG1. And then click what? Okay. So you have unlocked the background. So the next thing you are going to do, we are going to carry this background until I touch this layer and then drop it. Now watch how I'm going to achieve that. Watch how I am going to achieve that. Now, I am going to first of all go to the move tool, this move tool, the very first tool. Then click and press down the left button and then drag. As you are dragging, once you touch this background, you see that you are on the layer, then you come down and drop. You come down and drop. So what I've done now is that I have just duplicated it. Let me take it again. Let me take it again. So now, like I was saying, I want to drag it again so that you observe it. So you drag it here. Look at it here. You drag it. Just move it. Once you get to the picture layer, you come down. You will see the copy. You paste. So that is how you can copy and paste the background on the picture layer. On the picture layer. So right now I have two of them. I have two of them. So how do I delete? All right, I hope you are still with me. Hope you are. Let me get a response. I want us to.
Yeah, we are with you.
Okay, so now I have just showed us how you can duplicate the background. Now you can see three of them here. You must know how to work with layer. You must know how to work with layer. Let me explain the layer concept. You see, if I want to work on this picture, this is what represents it. So I will just come here and click. So now anything I move is that picture. If I want to move this one, I'll click on the layer representing it. Whatever I'm doing now is on this. If I want to work on this other one, so you must know the layer, your object layers. All right. So now I want to remove one. So which one do I want to remove? I want to remove this. You will drag this one like this and touch that dustbin icon here like this. You have deleted it. The same thing if I want to delete this picture, you drag it and touch this dustbin icon. It will go. Now, the next thing is for us to expand this layer to fill the entire image layer. So how do you expand it? There are times that you might meet your Photoshop like this. This particular box is not checked. Can you see it now? So I'm trying to adjust. I cannot adjust until you realize that this show transform control is not active. So just go and click on it. You'll be able to see your node. Then you now click and drag, expand it. So this is the reason why I said you should have gone for portrait background, because now you are going to overstretch it and you are not going to see the whole side of it. So make sure that that background is covering the entire world image. So I want to bring this flower here so you can see the way I am shifting it in. Once you have ensured that, you click on this to commit it. The moment I click on this, the image will look more real. Just watch out now. Did you see it now? It's just that we have overstretched it. So the last step is to order this background to the back of the image so that the picture can come on it. So how do we achieve that? There are several ways you can achieve that. But let me show you the first method I use. The first way of doing this is that you need to identify which one is moving to the back or which one is moving to the front. I have just two of them here. So if I'm on this now, that means this one will go to the back for me to see the picture. If I am on this, it means that this one will come to the front. So depending on which of them you are selecting. So let's say, for example, I want to take this one to the back. I'll click on its layer. Remember, I told us in the last class where you cannot view your layer, you go to window, because if I click here now, the layer at times may not be visible. Whenever you cannot see the layer, go to window and click on or press F11 on your keyboard. Sorry, F7. Now, I will now go to layer. So from layer, I will now select arrange. From arrange, I'll select send to back. So if I click here, you see that automatically the background has gone to the back, and then I have the picture here. Let me get a response if somebody understands that. That is one logic. I'm going to show us another logic. Another logic is this. These two layers, you can drag this one and touch this one. You see what I've done now? I'll drag this one and touch this one. Drag this one and touch this. If you are dragging it here and it's not going, then you drag the other one towards it. So it's either you use this shortcut, or even on your keyboard, you can do that. Another shortcut on your keyboard is that you select the one you want to order. Let's say this. Then press Control. Then there is a place where you have the square bracket after P. You have the opening square bracket. You have the closing square bracket. So just hold that the Control button and press the opening square bracket. The closing square bracket send the image to the back, while the opening one was send it to the front. So I've given us three different ways you can order your objects. So like I told us before, I want to select this picture. I will just click here and then probably I'll rotate it a little. So maybe my design, this is how I want to align it. And then when you go down, what we call placement, professional placement, you can see that this is not professional. Somebody will be looking for the legs. Professionally, you lost them. You don't allow them to see the beginning, to give them that impression that what the legs are there. And the height here must not be too much. There's a way you put like this now, they will know that it's not possible. This is not the real image. So you have to be calculative. You have to be creative with the placement of your object in order to show that, to give them that impression that this was the background the picture was taken with. So if there is no question, your first class task is for you to what? So I'll still be here. I'll still be here to guide also. I'll be coming to your screen one after the other to check what you are doing. So what is the task? The task is for you to load in an image, load in a background, and then remove the background from the old image, remove the old background from the image, then you replace it with the new one, just like I've done. And then that will be the end of this section. So the next section, we will now be looking at how we can now start designing on this, how we can turn this to, like, maybe I am marketing a skill, I'm marketing something, how can I write on it? How can I bring those product images, synchronize them together with this? That will be our next focus. Any question? There's no question. Let me allow us to start sharing our screen. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Well, it's well explained anyway. But my little question is where this bringing the background picture and putting it in the like changing the background picture is well understood, but that's a cutting session is where I didn't get very clear, sir. I don't know that you can throw more light on that.
Okay, now if I throw more light on this, that means you take it as an assignment. So I wanted us to do the class project, but if I'm to do it again, because I have to bring in another picture and then go over it again there, which means that there will not be time for you to do the classwork. Do you agree? So you go and take it, do it as an assignment.
Okay, I think that is better.
Assignment is better, right? So that you can take your time to be watching and be reapplied. Let me take another.
Yes.
Mercy, I hope you concur with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Because just like what Mr. Fine was trying to say, I just need to go through it over and over before I can.
Okay, so let me trim another picture. So that will not take us to another concept, which means that we want to bring in another picture. Two pictures will be on this layer. So I'm not bringing. Let's just take it again. Let me go through the process. So now I'll assume that this one, I have settled this one. So let me delete this one. Okay. Let me see. Let me delete this so that I have space to bring the next one. And I'm not going to use this background anymore. So let me remove it. Okay, so I have this. And then let me also remove this. So I have just this remaining. So if I go back to open, remember to load in the picture, go back to, and then go to where you must have saved the picture. So let me see if I can find any of my picture, or even if it's the same one, just for us to go through it. So my picture 2. If I have my picture 2, I should have, don't know which one is this one. Let me load it as, or I can just load in. And just load in. Let me check here. I think that should have some pictures there. Okay, so let's say I am bringing this. I hope it's not the one I've edited before. Let me confirm. So let's say I'm bringing this in. Okay. Now, once you have loaded your picture, remember the first step is to double click here to unlock it. After that, I will zoom, Control plus, Control plus, Control plus.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, where did you double click, sir? Please, just
Here. Are you
okay.
getting it? You
To unlock.
click, yeah, to unlock. Yes, you double click on it and
Okay.
click OK. Then you zoom in by pressing Control plus, then shift the space bar to switch to hand. Now I want to start my tracing from here. And then after you have done this, you go to the tool, you select the pen tool, and then start your tracing. While you are tracing, remember that you have to be holding down and adjusting your hand to get the curve section where you need curve. And make sure that you are following the right paths. Don't cut in old background. So just take note of this. Trying to gain shape. All right, so I'm still going. Once you get to the part where you are no longer seeing, remember that once you get to the part where you are no longer seeing, you hold down the space bar for you to activate the hand. Remember that remember you continue to flow with the right path. You make mistake, press Ctrl Z to return it. And then, so let's just say I want to take it here. Okay, let me just complete it. So now I'm cutting off the whole of that aspect. So I will just say, okay, I want to take it here, take it here. And the whole of this side is straight. So I will just come to where you started from. I believe that is clear. That is the first thing. So once you have traced it around, remember that you now right click within the area you traced, and then you make selection. Like the advice I gave to her, put letter number 2 there and click. So that will enable you to preview it. You can now see the preview. I hope you are still with me. Hello, are you still here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now after you have been able to preview it, the next step is for you to inverse, the one that will allow us to highlight the aspect that will be deleted. And then you go to select, then you click on inverse, and then before you press your delete. So you can see that I have removed the background. Now I have to stop the selection, go to select again, then click on the select. All right, so the next step is how do we replace it with another background, which was the last step. Now, to replace with another background, I have to go and load in the background. So remember that we downloaded the background somewhere. Let me check even the download, I think I have some good background. Let me see if I can load one from there. So let's say I want to use this background. So I'll click and load it in. Right? Then once you load in your background, you must also unlock the background. So after unlocking the background, then you identify this is the image layer. This is the image layer. This is the background. So you go to the background, then you click with your move tool here. Then drag it, then touch this place. Then once you can see the image, then you come down and then drop. I hope you understand it now. Now it has automatically fit because it's a portrait. For where it did not fit, then that is where you will now begin to what? Adjust it. It's fitted, but some of the part that you needed may not have been captured. So that is where you click on this so that you'll be able to adjust it. Let's assume that you drop it. It's like this. So if I click here now, let's say it did not cover the entire image. So you make sure that this is checked and then you move. So meanwhile, I just need it like this. I just want just this part, and I want this part to be black like this. So now the last thing we did was how to order this background to the back of this picture so that the picture can come to the front. So the direct way of doing that is by selecting the layer you want to order. In this case, I want to order this one to the back. So I'll click on it first. After clicking on it, then I will now go to layer, then go to arrange, and then click on send to back. So you can see that with this, I have the image in the front. Then I talk about placement. There's a way you arrange it and somebody will know that you have, tampered with it. It should not be too close like this. They will catch your secret. There should be reasonable space because when the cameraman is snapping, there's only what we call headroom. So the headroom should be like 10 millimeter or 10 centimeter. So they will not think that that is how the camera guy captured it. Now the picture now, if you suspend it here, they will catch you. So lap it in a way that like this. You can see this is a professional placement. And then here you can now increase it a little. You can decide to make them not to see even this side. I think this placement is good. I also talk about pivoting it or maybe rotating it. You move a little bit from it, you see that rotation icon, then you click and move. Maybe your design, you just want it like this. And then probably in the next class, like I said, we will now start looking at how we can convert this image to a graphics, how we can write on it, how this picture can be speaking what you. So when you want to design a Facebook ad, these are the things you'll be doing. You can promote yourself. You can run ad for yourself. You can bring your portfolio picture here and write. You can see the way I branded my shirt now. This is not, all this write-up did not come with it. So I'm the one that branded. This cycle that you are seeing now, I use it to cover the company logo of this, the company that produced this, and end up, putting my information. That's why I told us that day that Photoshop is also used for branding. You can get a t-shirt, plain one online, design on it. The person can go to printing press and print it. So any questions? If there's no question, then this is where we are going to stop so that I can convert the video and send it to you, if possible, immediately, so that you can stay on it. So your assignment, like we agreed, your assignment is this. You are going to get one picture, trim off the background, replace it, go to internet. I want to see wonderful, fine background. I've showed us how to go to the internet to download. Then the next thing you are going to do is to take off the background of the image, replace it with the one you must have downloaded from the internet, and be saving. So you are going to trim like 10 different pictures, 10. So when you are through with one like this, create a folder. So what you are going to do is that you create a folder on desktop or anywhere. then name it maybe edit piece, for example. So how do you now save? From your Photoshop, once you are done with one, you have trimmed it and you have replaced the background, you go to File, you select Save As. So from Save As, you target that folder, which is the edit something. I think that is the name. Now open it up. You name this one maybe number 1 and click on what? Save. And then click on Save. Then you go to the second one. The second one is this. Once you are done with one, once you have saved it, you can take it off, because next time you open it, you can open it, or next time you want to see it, you can actually open it from that folder. So once you have saved it, just remove it. Then take another one. Once you are done like this also, go back there, select what? Save As, then identify that same folder on desktop, look for that edit, open it, you made the first one there. So you can click on that one and then type 2, and then you keep saving. So in our next meeting, by the grace of God, on Wednesday, I want to see that you'll be able to open 10 different pictures that you have removed their old background and you have successfully replaced them with a better background. Any question? Do we have any question?
No questions, sir.
Okay, so the work have started.
It's very clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so have a blessed day. Let me start
Yeah,
converting.
Thank
thank
you,
you, sir.
sir.